Welcome back to the channel. Reaction, standing up because I'm becoming an old man and my lower back hurts. So, that said, let's dive right into this reaction. Destiny versus. Is this not Riley Gaines? Who's this?
Migrant riots. Now, the protesters are rallying against ICE enforcement, many concerned about the agency's tactics and actions and its impact on the broader community. Destiny, let's start with you. Do you think these protests are justified in any sense when you consider the president has...
Lily, is that her name? Lily Gaddis? Why does she look exactly like Riley Gaines? Is this the racist woman? Is this the racist one? The one that tried to say the N-word on Piers Morgan? Is that her? Is this who it is? I think it is. I think this is the racist woman who tried to say the N-word.
a mandate to crack down on illegal migration?
Yeah, of course. I think people have been really fearful about a lot of behavior of ICE, a lot of the behavior of this administration, much of which has been pushed back on by the courts. You see Abrego Garcia coming back. You see multiple TROs being issued nationwide. I think that protesting the administration and their actions, I think is totally fine. I think it can also be wholly consistent with enforcing a border and enforcing immigration policy. There's no reason why we can't deport criminals. There's no reason why we can't enforce law at the border, while also recognizing that it's important that, you know, states are allowed to exist with the individual states' rights they had. Like all the Republicans were celebrating Abbott when he wanted to do his states' rights stuff against Biden, but now it seems like people are celebrating Trump, you know, arbitrarily sending the National Guard to California, even though Newsom says they're not needed at all. Yeah, so I think it's okay for people to protest. I think that's fine. I think rioters should be arrested. I don't see any reason why the National Guard has to be deployed here other than Trump just trying to make a show of force.
Lily,
Agreed.
what do you think? Do you see a justification for these protests?
I'm not gonna lie. Short hair be cooking. Short hair be cooking. And I'm not talking about on Destiny. Alright. Short hair be cooking. Shout out.
If it's a land of free speech, the right to assembly.
Right. Well, I absolutely agree with, you know, people's right to free speech. I want people to be able to go out on the streets and protest and rally in a peaceful, nonviolent way.
Let me guess. She's gonna say, but that's not what's happening. They're getting violent. Oh man, MAGA, all of them just say the same exact thing. There's really no thought. They're just like, okay, what is my Lord and Savior, Donald Christ, tells me to say? Okay, this is what you want me to say? Okay, bet.
As long as you're not breaking the law, then I don't see a problem with it. That's an important part of living in a democracy. That's an important part of living in the United States where we have those sort of freedoms. But what we're seeing is the opposite of that. We have people throwing Molotov cocktails. We have people attacking the ICE vehicles, and it's a violent protest. So I think Trump's response is definitely warranted.
You're not gonna get a logical conversation here. She's gonna say a bunch of nonsense. Destiny's gonna fact check her. She's not gonna change her mind because she's a bigot. I mean, I don't know if I'm getting. I'll give this 5 minutes. If this is boring as fucking 5 minutes, I'm ending the video.
Warranted when you have vast amounts of people trying to, I don't know, kill ICE agents, who knows, or cause as much damage.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me just throw something out there with no evidence. Because she's a fucking bot, bro.
As possible.
Oh my god.
And you have a civilian populace that you also have to protect. Sometimes the police are simply not equipped for that. So in certain instances, it is a good thing to bring out the National Guard and have a strong show of force.
Just in this instance, it wasn't appropriate to bring out the National Guard. And it wasn't appropriate show of force.
So that people do not feel comfortable with violating other people's rights by being violent, by attacking ICE vehicles and anything like that, which is illegal, which is not free speech, and which is not the right to protest, because they're engaging in violent attacks against these people. They're not just speaking their mind.
What about the notion, Destiny, I'll ask you first and I'll come back to you, Lily, for a response, that these protesters were provoked. It's almost as if it's been orchestrated for the protests to fail, so to speak, because there is so much provocation. That's one criticism that's been leveled against the Trump administration.
I mean, I think they're being.
You know what the difference between this and Piers Morgan is? She's allowing both sides to speak.
Provocative with the National Guard, of course. I agree, rule of law is important. You can't have people engaging in violent acts, but you absolutely don't need to send the National Guard for every single protest. The first protests were a few dozen people. I think the second protest I think on June 7th, was like 105 people or something. It was like a little bit over 100 people. Why are we deploying the National Guard for this? I feel like the deployment of the National Guard was so arbitrary. It was almost self-defeating by Trump. Gavin Newsom pointed out that Trump was truthing out that the National Guard had managed to quell all of the rioting and it was incredibly successful in its mission. And Trump had posted that truth on Truth Social before the National Guard had even made it to the ground. So,
You know why he did that, right? Because he doesn't give a fuck about the truth. It's all about optics and messaging. It's all about optics and messaging. He wants to make it look like the National Guard solved everything, so he gets all the credit, so he can blame all the evil things on Gavin Newsom. But MAGA doesn't give two shits about him lying. Come on. So I'm not talking to MAGA. I'm talking to you, reasonable person who's watching this video. I'm talking to you. Just know that Donald Trump has outed himself already by trying to preemptively post that the National Guard quelled all the protests. Because he knows it wasn't a big deal. And he was going to able to automatically message that, oh, nothing's going wrong now. Because nothing really was going wrong in the first place. But then he's going to apply that nothing gone wrong to National Guard soldiers.
I think that it is definitely provocative. I don't think people on the left should be taking the bait. There's no reason to burn stuff down or do anything like that. But I mean, I wish that Trump would stop constantly turning the temperature up on every single conversation just to try to take eyes away from his failed trade policy, his failed international policy, his failed policy in Gaza, his failed domestic policy, like everything else. Like, I wish that he could just try to govern for real instead of just constantly being a provocateur in every single arena.
You know what? I kind of respect Destiny's demeanor here. He's so calm compared to obviously how he is on the stream. And I respect it. He's in front of a new audience. He wants to seem reasonable. It's kind of similar to me when I'm on stream and I'm reacting to stuff. Much more visceral, much more active. When I'm having a conversation, a civil conversation with someone, I'm much more rational, much more easygoing. So it's interesting how that is.
What do you make of that, Lily? Is this an attempted distraction by the president to try and cause some chaos in one area so that people aren't really looking at where there may have been some stumbling blocks?
I mean, I think there is a valid argument to be said that it could be a distraction, because right now we have the New York Times breaking that Palantir is collecting all of people's data, and now that we're possibly living on the brink of a police state and a surveillance state governed by AI, that's a major story that people should be listening.
Wait. Was that a base response based off the big beautiful bill trying to implement AI all across the country? Wait. Was she being based? Hold on.
Looking at, we're also on the cusp of a war with Iran. I mean, this deal with Iran is coming to the last days, and this is what people should be focusing on. They should be focusing on.
Wait, why is she being so based? Wait, hold on. Why is she being so based? Am I tripping? Why is she being based right now? What's going on? This is
Trying to keep us out of this war and trying to make sure that, the powers that be that are controlling our government do not amass any more power or bring in Palantir to surveillance all of us. So in that case, I would agree. I don't think it's necessarily about other things, but I think the main things that people should be focusing on right now is the Palantir takeover and this kind of subversion of the Trump administration through these tech bros and through the PayPal mafia. That's what people should be looking at, and we should.
Why the fuck? Yo, she's being so based right now. What is going on?
Should also
This
be
is
looking
not normal.
at this potential war with Iran, which is coming to the deadline's coming to an end.
What do you make?
That's not normal. What? Maybe I was wrong about her. Nah. Is this the girl that said the N? This doesn't, like, 1 + 1 is not equal to 2. Wait, hold on. I need a. Wait, what? Why is she sounding so rational? Is this not the girl who tried to say the N-word on TV? Maybe she's acting normal because she's with 2 white people. Ew, I just spit something out. Hold on. Let me check out. All right. Pierce Morgan Lamont Hill. It is the same girl. It's the same person. I am confused. Okay.
Lily, of the argument that the rage that is being expressed on the streets in Los Angeles is justified when you consider that it is life and death for some of these people that are being forcibly removed from the United States, in some cases illegally.
Well, I mean, if that's the argument, then you could make the same argument for anyone who's being arrested for any crime. Like, say you get a DUI and now the cops are going to arrest you. Does that warrant an outrage because people don't want people being arrested for breaking the law? I mean, at the end of the day, like, if you didn't want to be deported, if you didn't want to face that fear of being deported, you should have come in legally.
I'm gonna be honest. I think 95% of MAGA has no idea what illegal immigration means. I'm being dead honest. I said this on my podcast. I'll say it again. Most illegal immigrants are people waiting for their legal process. So it's not like, oh yeah, I avoided all of America and I'm just here without anybody knowing. I think that's what most MAGA think, that these are people just here without anybody knowing. In reality, these are people who worked with America waiting for a legal process. These are the categories of people who are considered illegal immigrants but are actually under a process just waiting for confirmation. People waiting for the asylum process and asylum trial or application situation. So people waiting for asylum. That's one. DACA, children of illegal immigrants. That's 2. Temporary status people. That's 3. And there's much more, like people who were brought here through human trafficking. That's another one. These are all considered illegal immigrants. But you can see that it's not as simple as, Jerry trying to go into the house and steal a bunch of cheese without Tom knowing. No, it's not that simple.
It's there. The option is there to come in legally, but these people decided to break the law and now they are facing the consequences of it. And I believe that they feel like if they throw a big enough fit, if they cause enough, wreak enough havoc on the towns that they're doing this in Los Angeles at the current moment, that they're going to get their way and they'll make the Trump administration back down. But that's not what people voted Trump for. They voted Trump.
I swear to God, MAGA thinks that, yeah, why don't you just go to the DMV and get your immigration status? I swear to God, that's what MAGA thinks illegal immigration is. That these people just go to the DMV and get their immigration status. Why don't you just go get your license, man? I can do it. So can you. Why you being so difficult?
In to get rid of this illegal alien problem, because we have millions of these people in our country. They are bringing drugs, they are bringing fentanyl, they are driving the crime rate up. It's taking away jobs from the American citizen, and these are all things that people want the Trump administration to crack down on. So I think it is important that people keep their eye on the ball and are not distracted by people throwing a fit.
Destiny, what do you make of that? And what do you make of the idea that if these people are in the US illegally without the appropriate documentation, isn't it an expectation that they will be caught and dealt with, and that this is something that President Trump was elected to do?
I mean, it's the risk that you run, but I really wish that we could just have an honest conversation about immigration, about illegal immigration, about what to do with the people here. It just seems like endless hand-wringing sometimes from some people, and then endless virtue signaling from other people. I would say the virtue signaling right now is coming from the conservatives. If we want to do something about immigration, then we need to have a comprehensive plan for how to allow people to come into the country, how to document the people that are currently here, and then how to control the border better. But it feels like conservatives just want to crack down on illegal immigration and then do nothing about like actual immigration. Earlier Lily said that there's a legal way to come in. There is, and the wait list is like 20 plus years. Like the reality is most people, especially if they are feeling economically destitute, or if they feel like there are way better opportunities in this country, which there are because this country is awesome, the people are probably going to illegally immigrate. I just wish that we could have a better conversation about what to do with the people here. We're not deporting 13, 15 million people. Most of the people in this country don't even want that. They might say it now, but when apartment complexes start emptying out, when businesses start losing their workers.
Roll the clip.
Vincent, you voted for Donald Trump?
Yes, I did.
6 Nicaraguan men on May 27th were detained along US 1 in Sugarloaf Key on their way to a job. Vincent Scardina is the owner of the roofing company where they worked. Given his support for the president, we asked what he would tell the commander-in-chief.
What happened here? This situation is just blatantly not at all what they said it was.
While he agrees with most of the president's policies, he thought the Trump administration was going to focus solely on deporting criminals. It seems immigration officials, he says, are just trying to meet quotas now.
Buyer's remorse? I don't know. A little bit. I know of one landscaper that lost 9 or 10 of the whole crew he had, and he's just totally out of business all of a sudden.
It's pretty obvious, I would say, that the reason why they were pulled over is because they're Latino men.
Their immigration attorney says it should not have happened because 5 of the 6 have their paperwork in order with pending asylum cases.
Valid work permit, not even close to be expired. And no criminal record, not here, not in Nicaragua.
Losing these 6 men is losing a third of his workers.
We're not able in Key West to just replace people as easily as, say, a big city. It's financially as well as emotionally. So it takes a toll. You get to know these guys. You become their friends, just not an employer, but a friend. And you see what happens to their family. It's quite a shock.
Hopefully, I'm not too lazy and I actually just rolled the clip there. But yeah. You know what? I should roll the peaceful immigration clips as well when I did my other video. So, well, there you go. Simple as that. MAGA, business owner. He was upset that these people got taken.
When the unemployment falls even lower, when inflation starts to take off even higher, like people aren't going to be happy with that. You know, there has to be a realistic path towards how do you document the people here? How do you control what's happening at the border? But in order to do that, you have to go to Congress, you've got to talk to the people, and you have to actually hammer out some incredibly sophisticated and difficult to work on legislation. And nobody wants to do that right now. They just want to do executive orders, and they want to have, ICE running around and having dramatic, Twitter moments on social media. And I don't know, it just feels like that's all we're doing right now.
Lily, what's your take? I mean, the idea that about 10...
Wow, having a normal fucking moderator is crazy. Whereas Piers Morgan would say, Destiny, you're talking too much. Lily, go ahead, say more stuff. Destiny, don't respond. Lily, keep on going. That's what Piers Morgan would do.
% of the workforce in California is made up of migrant workers. Clearly there is a need. That state is very open about the fact that it relies heavily on...
And did you know that California has a bigger economy than Japan? And if anybody's asking, because I know people say certain things in the comments, and the people who say nonsense that are just saying that I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, obviously you guys don't know what you're talking about, so I just call you bots. But if someone asks me a legitimate question like, how do you know this or whatever that, let me know. I'll put a link. All these are sourced. I'm not just saying these because I blindly believe them. These are things I researched. So, yeah. California has a big economy. Crazy.
On migrant workers. So undocumented or not, doesn't the community need them?
Well, I think the caveat that people are not mentioning with this argument that they are filling jobs that Americans don't want or they're not doing, what everybody's missing is these employers do need these workers. They do need cheap labor. They do need essentially slave labor from other countries.
Oh man, I know exactly what she's about to argue. I'm gonna allow her to do it though.
Where they can pay them less than an American citizen would take. An American citizen expects, normal work hours. They expect a good work environment, and they expect to be paid.
No, I'm not gonna let her say it. I wish I could take this point seriously. But when you're the one who says, I want to get all these people out of the country, and then go like, well, they shouldn't be taking advantage of them. This is slave labor. Like, is that a legitimate talking point of people taking advantage of illegal immigrants? Sure. Sure, I agree. But you don't give two shits about that. You want all these people gone. You don't care about these people as workers. So don't pretend you do. Don't do that. Don't pretend like you care. Come on.
Paid at least minimum wage. Now, if you import millions of people from countries where they're used to making pennies and dimes on an hour, then those people are willing to make concessions. Those people are willing to live together, multiple people in a house, sometimes illegally, and they're willing to receive less pay for that, considering that they're usually getting paid under the table, so they're not having to deal with taxes and all the things that American citizens have to deal with.
Cap! Illegal immigrants do pay taxes. If you're watching a clip, well, I don't know if I'll make this a clip. I might make this a clip. But if you're watching the video version, I already showed you a clip. I think the guy even mentioned that they pay taxes. So, that's a lie. A lot of them do pay taxes.
So that's a major issue right there. And I think that's why Trump's cracking down on the employers that are incentivizing this thing, because it's not only taking away jobs from Americans who would be willing to do those jobs.
Cap! We have a very low unemployment rate. I think that's what this is going to say.
At a decent pay rate, but they're not going to take those jobs if they're getting paid pennies and dimes. But these employers have been taking advantage. Really, I mean, if you want a virtue signal for the immigrants, this is exploitation. They're essentially bringing in
people to come into the country that they want to be in and do jobs that they want to do. No, they should just go to the country that they don't want to be in and get no job that they don't want to do. How dare they want to do something in here? We're trying to help you, okay? I'm saving you from yourself. How does that sound?
Slave labor to do jobs at half the wages that American would do that. So I think, yes, maybe temporarily the economy would suffer a bit, but we would get back on track, and then Americans and employers would have to work that out to where they work at a rate that would satisfy both the employer and the worker.
Isn't that just an argument, though, as to also why the US should allow more legal migration, that these people without documentation should be brought into the legal fold so that this isn't perpetually just being an exploitative culture?
Well, personally, I don't really want any more immigrants here. I don't want any more legal immigrants, and I don't want any more illegal immigrants.
Oh, she's at least honest. I kind of respect it. She's very clear. She's very honest. Get those fucking brown people out of my country, man. How dare they come to white America? It's so funny that I'm reacting to this after I was reacting to a video with Destiny going up against a very, very, very pro-black individual. and hear him talking about racism in America, and then hear her talking about being actually racist. So it's like, oh man, what is this political society we live in? What is going on? Where are we in the world? We can go from a leftist, everybody's racist, all white people are racist, and then we go and talk to a righty. I am racist. Fuck hypocrite. Yeah, we're so cooked, man. Oh my
Why
god.
is that?
People as it is. Well, because it makes Americans suffer. It not only affects the culture.
Yeah, because they're fucking brown. You see, look at their fucking chocolate ass skin, man. What the fuck? I mean, come on. What do you expect? They're brown.
Culture, so it changes the demographics of the country, which will affect the white people who live in this country.
Yeah, this is a country only for white people, man. You know Jesus Christ was white. You know, he's only here to save the sins of white people. You know that, right? You know that? I don't think you read the Bible. He's only here to save the sins of white people. And Judas, he was actually black. Yo, what am I talking about? Yo, I'm wild.
But it's also going to affect, things like housing. Now Americans are struggling with housing. The cost of housing is going way up because now we're competing with millions of other people.
Yeah, what? Like, come on, man. It's all the fucking brown people's fault that housing mortgages are up. If we just get rid of the brown people, all my white overlords will decrease the prices. The prices are so fucking high is because brown people are in the neighborhood. They will sell it cheaper to me because I'm white, but I can't. Even the stench of black people make the price go up. Yo, I need a top.
So it hurts your economy. It hurts the everyday person because now they're struggling with these people and they can't find houses. They're competing with people at slave labor. And even if we did have someone come in and they were taking normal wages, that's still taking a job away from an American citizen.
Yeah, the white ones. Honestly, let's have a real conversation. You know what? You know why the NBA is suffering so much. You know why the NBA is suffering so much? Well, it's because of all the black people, obviously. What if we just had more white people? I don't know. We'll take a little bit. I'm only okay with like partial Europeans. So like Luka can stay, Jokic can stay, but honestly, Giannis needs to go. LeBron honestly needs to go. Kevin Durant needs to go. Shea should just go back to Canada. You know who should be the best player in the face of the league? Tyler Hero. Now that guy's a basketball player. Yo, I'm gonna
rather that job be done by an American citizen than someone who just got here and they're here for economic opportunity rather than they're fleeing a dangerous situation, which is the majority of these immigrants.
Yeah, fuck their situation. Go back and go die in Yo, I think I'm a great translator for this one. Yo, she should just have me translate everything she says. Because I think I'm spot on at everything she's talking about. I think I should be a MAGA translator. I think I'll do a pretty goddamn good job. I'm not gonna lie.
Destiny?
Usually you can tell when the person you're arguing with or a person who's presenting arguments is being dishonest is when they're trying to present a thing that can give you like the pros of every side of an equation. The reality is
I'm gonna be honest, Destiny, you could have just mic drop is usually you can tell when someone just doesn't like brown people. would that be professional in this setting? I could see me doing that. Like usually you could tell that they just don't like brown people. Come on. So, come on, yeah. What to give him again? So I take game requests. I'm not playing a game, dog.
is for any given thing, especially economically. Usually this works policy-wise as well. There's usually pros and there's usually cons. And the goal is to try to get as much of the pros as possible while minimizing the negative impacts of the cons. The idea that if you deport 12 or 13 million workers, that would only result in pros for the American average citizen is so unbelievably and unfathomably ludicrous. It defies the understanding of every single part of society, all the way from government budgets, which are benefited by illegal immigrants who pay taxes into Social Security that they'll never withdraw from, all the way down to local economies where you've got people who are able to, rent buildings out to people that are renting them, even if they're illegal immigrants. You've got employers who are able to hire people, even if they might be paying them under the table or whatever. And then at the end of that transaction, you've got customers who are enjoying lower prices and a greater diversity of things that they can buy from as a result of that. If you want to get rid of all of the illegal immigrants and then you want to curb down, or you want to curb legal immigration, then fine, but you have to be honest about what's on the other end of that transaction. Prices are going to be higher for everybody. A whole bunch of small businesses are going to shut down. Housing prices, yes, might go down, but that means that homeowners that own houses are going to see the value of their own home decrease. You're going to see the foreclosure or the closing of a lot of residential buildings that people are renting from. I think that if you want to make that argument, I think it's an interesting argument to have, but it's so unbelievably boring when people try to argue that you can get the pros of every possible side of an equation if you just do the one thing that they like the most. I've never heard anybody make the concession that, yeah, we're going to deport 50 million people, and it is going to be economically painful, but I think that economic pain is worth whatever other project I think America should be, or whatever idea I have about what immigration should look like.
Lily?
Well, I mean, I did say that there would be short-term economic, mishaps to that. The economy is going to suffer. But again, in the long term, what is better? Is it better to replace the native population with migrants coming from other countries, which is now going to drive the quality of living down, the quality of work life down? Because if you're competing with illegal immigrants or legal immigrants who are used to coming from countries, again, where they get paid hardly anything, now Americans are going to have to make those concessions. Now Americans are going to say, you know what, it's fine. I'll shack up with 10 of my cousins and I'll live in a tiny house with tons of people and I'll work for slave wages as well, because this is what I'm competing with, because we're outnumbered at this point. Another thing is, what nobody wants to talk about is you lose the racial demographics in your country. Is it wrong for a person in our country to want a country that's majority white? Is that a wrong thing? And if you replace the native populace with people from other countries, that is going to change that culture. So it's no longer going to be the United States or America as we know it. It's going to look like a reflection of the UK, look like a reflection of all these other European countries.
Yeah. I kind of laugh myself out. Like, I'm just tired of this now. This is just not funny anymore. So ridiculous. I'm only human. Racist white girl is a bigot. I wonder why she hates black people and brown people so much. Maybe she had an ex-boyfriend that broke her heart. We're back. maybe she was dating one. let me chill. Maybe she was dating Josue and he cheated on her. Oh no. Maybe she was dating a Brian, and then Brian cheated on her with with Raquel. It's like, how could you do this? You're what's wrong with the country. How can you cheat on me with a Latina? Oh no. Brian. Imagine that be correct. Imagine I get her whole origin story correct right there.
Who tried mass migration, and look how it's failing.
But America is a country of migrants, though. America is a country that was founded by migrants.
Was it, though? I mean, who are the founders? They were white Americans that came.
Hey, I am a European from an island all the way over there. I see you live here. I'm gonna migrate here. I'm gonna found a new country, and then I'm gonna kick you guys all to the curb. Okay? All right? I know you were living here first, but I don't give two shits. I got guns and diseases. So this is now mine, and I'm not gonna call myself a migrant either. All right, I'm just gonna pretend that I was here first. Okay. All right. Okay.
Came over
Yeah,
here, and then they would
unless
white
it's the
immigrants that came over here.
the Native Americans, which I don't necessarily think that America probably wants to pin their cultural responsibilities on. Destiny, what's your take on this? Sounds a bit like the Great Replacement theory.
I mean, if somebody wants to have the argument for maintaining a white majority country, then fine, but at least be honest and have the argument. It's not an economic argument. It's a racial demographics argument. If you're willing to make dramatic sacrifices in terms of where the U.S. sits at in the world, right now we are the leading country in the world, economically, militarily, diplomatically, well, I guess we'll see by the end of this presidency. But we enjoy that status right now. And as a result of that, we enjoy a great deal of other things as well. You know, people might laugh at the GDP go up number, but our standards of living are incredibly high in the United States. You know, we're spoiled by a whole bunch of goods and services. You've got a whole bunch of teenagers on Twitter right now who are complaining about oppression because the 4-payment loan they took out on their burrito taxi app is all of a sudden, you know, unable to be paid by them because they're not getting enough allowance from their parents. I mean, I would argue these are good problems to have. If you want to try to shoot for some ethnically homogenous society, I mean, I guess my first question is, who are we even trying to look like at that point? Like, are we envious of Japan that's been in stagflation for, you know, for the past 3 decades? Are we envious of what, Iran, of North Korea? Like, who are these ethnically homogenous countries that we're so jealous of their economic and cultural output? I mean, I don't know. Again, but if you want to have that argument, that's fine, but just don't conflate it with the economic one. This is an economic.
One thing I don't like what Destiny does is he says, if you want to have that argument, then fine. I get what his intention is there. I think it would be much more effective if he just goes like, I mean, if you want to have that argument, that's fine. Just be honest, right? Just be honest that you just want a white majority country. Just be honest you want to kick out all the black and brown people, and just be honest that you're racist. That's fine. That's not fine. At least you're honest. I think replace that's fine with at least just be honest. Because it's not fine to be racist. It's not fine to kick out everybody. It's just, it's semantics, but I do think verbiage here would be effective. Like, it would be much more damning. It would hit harder if you just say, instead of saying that's fine, you say, just be honest.
Economically ruinous argument, or at least it's a loser of an economic argument. But again, that's fine, but just be willing to take both sides of that. I'm willing to suffer, not just in the short term. It will be a long-term decreased standard of living. It will be a long-term decrease access to goods and services from the average American person. And that doesn't just mean fancy new iPhones. It might mean an instrument for your child to go and practice on for school, or it might mean newer textbooks for a class, or it might mean internet access for.
What these people are going to do in response to that is probably going to bring up some of these Scandinavian countries. What about Scandinavia? What about Switzerland? What about those countries? I want to be those countries.
For people in rural areas, if you're willing to accept a lower turnout on all of that stuff in exchange for a wider country, whatever that means, I guess then we could talk about who counts as white or not. We have to go to the Eastern Europeans and figure that one out. Then fine, have that argument.
Lily, so pick up on one thing that Destiny said there. What is this racially homogenous country that you think America should be emulating? What's the ideal here? Who should we be looking to as guidance?
I don't think we have to look to anyone else. I think we can do it on our own. We did it on our own for a long time before we started mass immigrating from other cultures.
Yeah, we should honestly go back to slavery. That's when America was great.
That are not compatible with the West. Back in the Ellis Islands days, who were we importing people from? They were white Europeans from Ireland, from Scotland, from England.
She realized Irish people were treated like shit, right? She realized She realized that before the European migration, where Irish people are treated like shit, that there was a whole migration of slaves, right?
England, and that those people assimilated well. Those people came into our country and they wanted to be Americans. If you to go back to the LA riot.
Why is she lying? Irish people were treated like garbage. They were not assimilated well. They were treated like trash. That's a lie.
If you take a look at the pictures coming out of there, what is it? It's a lot of illegals flying the flags of their native country. Why are you here then? If you're protesting being sent back to your country, why are you flying the flag of that country? These people clearly do not want to assimilate. They clearly do.
Although I don't know why, I don't really have a good argument for those people. But a great rebuttal is, oh, it's just like the people who wave around the conservative flag. We don't live in conservative America anymore. We live in the United States of America. Why do they carry their flags?
Do not care about our culture. They are not part of our culture, and they don't want to be part of our culture, as they make it very clear. They love to display their flags of their country that they came from. They love to keep their little subcultures homogenous, and they do not want to blend in with ours. They will simply want to take over ours. And then the white people who live here, who have historically lived here, and black people, you could argue, it's actually, if you want to talk about black rights, these illegal immigrants are invading the area.
You don't pretend like you care about black rights. Oh man, man, I think I've watched enough, to be honest. I think I'm good. The Destiny fella seems to be what the Democratic Party needs. I don't know the guy, but he seems very intelligent, well spoken, not afraid to speak the truth, the objective truth. Dr. Ego Chalakian, please run for president. Thanks, Egon. DGG salute you. Wait, is this the AI guy?